Tonight we're going to drift toward the invisible conductor of our galaxy, Sagittarius A star. No one expects a void to hold the most power in the room. Yet, here is the paradox that defines the heart of the Milky Way. An object containing 4 million solar masses remains completely invisible to the naked eye. It is a ghost of impossible proportions, the gravitational shadow that governs the motion of billions of stars while refusing to emit a single photon of light. Picture the center of our galaxy not as a crowded city of stars, but as a great silent whirlpool. We are floating now, leaving the familiar warmth of our solar neighborhood and sliding across the interstellar void, crossing distances that would take a lifetime of light to traverse. As we approach the galactic core, the density of stars increases, crowding together in a frantic shimmering dance. But at the very center there is a hole in the map. There is a region where the light of 1 million suns simply vanishes, swallowed by a point of infinite density. This is the true scale of the abyss. We are talking about 4 million times the mass of our own sun, compressed into a space that defies every intuition we have about matter. If you were to place this mass into a physical sphere, it would be smaller than the orbit of Mercury, yet it possesses a grip so absolute that not even light, the fastest entity in the universe, can escape its reach. It is the ultimate silence. It is a place where the laws of physics do not break, but rather they bend until they snap. We drift closer, feeling the subtle shift in the geometry of space. The stars around the center are not moving in the slow, lazy arcs we see in the outer arms of the spiral. Here they are screaming through the vacuum at millions of miles per hour, whipped into tight elliptical orbits by a master they cannot see. They are like dancers, following the lead of an invisible partner, their trajectories dictated by a weight that occupies almost no space at all. The vacuum here is not empty. It is filled with the remnants of stars that wandered too close, shredded by tidal forces and stretched into long, glowing ribbons of plasma. This gas spirals inward, heating up to millions of degrees, glowing in X-rays and radio waves, creating a shimmering halo around a throat of absolute darkness. But once that matter crosses the threshold, the event horizon, it is gone from our universe forever. It is a one-way door, a rupture in the fabric of everything. We stand now on the precipice of this gravitational shadow, looking into a void that does not just occupy space, but consumes it. The scale is so vast that our minds attempt to shrink it, to make it a simple circle of blackness, but in reality it is a warping of time and distance. The closer we drift, the more we realize that the center of the galaxy is not a place, but a process. It is the process of the universe erasing itself. This invisible conductor does not need to be seen to be felt. Every star in the Milky Way, every planet, every grain of cosmic dust is tethered to the gravitational influence of this central engine. It is the anchor that keeps our galactic home from flying apart into the intergalactic waste, a silent architect that has spent billions of years shaping the void. We are witnesses to a power that requires no visibility to exert its will, a presence that is defined entirely by what it takes away. As we float in the dim glow of the accretion disk, the silence becomes heavy. The light from the distant stars begins to curve, bending around the black hole in a perfect, haunting ring. We are seeing the back of the universe reflected in the curvature of the abyss. Space is no longer a flat plane. It is a deep, steep well, and we are sliding down the walls toward a point where the concept of a coordinate ceases to exist. There is a strange comfort in this scale. In the face of 4 million suns crushed into a singularity, the chaos of our daily lives vanishes. The noise of the world is replaced by the slow, rhythmic pulse of the galactic center. We are drifting in a sea of dark matter and ancient light, guided by a force that is as indifferent as it is absolute. We are small, but we are part of this architecture, a tiny spark of consciousness observing the great devourer at the heart of all things. The void is not a vacuum of nothingness, but a vacuum of information. Everything that falls in, the light, the gas, the history of dead stars, is filed away in the space-time geometry of the singularity. The universe is recording every event, every atom, in the curvature of this dark star. We are floating through a library of lost things, where the books are written in gravity and the ink is the blood of collapsed suns. As we linger here at the edge of the event horizon, we can feel the tension between the known and the unknown. We have the math to describe this place, the equations to predict its behavior, but the reality is something far more visceral. It is the feeling of standing on the edge of a cliff that has no bottom. It is the realization that the center of our existence is a place where existence itself is forbidden. The darkness is not an absence of light, but a presence of gravity so intense that it creates its own horizon. Beyond that line, the future only points inward. There is no left, no right, no back. There is only the center. And yet, this monster is the reason we are here. Without the gravitational stabilizing force of Sagittarius A star, the orbital choreography of our galaxy would be a disaster of colliding stars and drifting clusters. We owe our stability to the most unstable object in the cosmos. We drift further, letting the current of the galactic wind carry us. The stars behind us fade into a blur of white noise, and the black hole ahead becomes a silhouette against the backdrop of the entire universe. It is a hole in the sky, a missing piece of the puzzle. It is the most honest thing in the cosmos, a point of absolute truth where the mask of matter is stripped away, leaving only the raw, naked power of gravity. And yet, for decades, the scientific community viewed these voids as mere mathematical curiosities. Expectation, a mathematical anomaly born from the ink of a wartime notebook. In 1916, while serving on the Eastern Front during the First World War, a physicist named Carl Schwarzschild looked at the equations of Albert Einstein's general relativity and found something that felt like a glitch in the architecture of the universe. He discovered that if you compressed enough mass into a small enough volume, the curvature of space-time would become infinite. He described a point of no return, a mathematical boundary where the escape velocity exceeded the speed of light. To the scientific community of the early 20th century, this was a theoretical curiosity, a ghost in the machine. The paper, published in Annalen der Physik, did not describe a physical object that could actually exist in the night sky, but rather a limit of the math. For decades, the prevailing belief was that nature would have a fail-safe. The idea of a singularity, a point of infinite density, was seen as a reductio ad absurdum. It was an equation that broke, not a star that collapsed. Astronomers and physicists viewed these objects as frozen stars. The term was literal. They believed that as a massive star collapsed, the time dilation predicted by relativity would become so extreme that, from the perspective of the rest of the universe, the collapse would slow down and eventually stop. The star would, essentially freeze in time, forever hovering on the brink of becoming a black hole, but never actually crossing the threshold. The universe, it was thought, simply did not allow for the creation of a true void. This was the comfort of the early cosmos, the belief that the laws of physics would intervene to prevent the birth of a monster. We imagined the universe as a place of balance, where gravity had a ceiling and matter had a floor. The Schwarzschild radius was treated as a theoretical fence, a boundary that marked where the map ended, but one that no physical object would ever actually reach. It was a ghost story told in the language of calculus, a warning that if you pushed gravity too far, the numbers stopped making sense. The frozen star was a safeguard, a way for science to acknowledge the math while denying the reality. We drift through this era of doubt, moving through a history where the most powerful forces in the galaxy were dismissed as errors in calculation. For half a century, the black hole remained a phantom. It was a shadow cast by equations, a prediction that felt too violent to be true. The scientific consensus was that the cosmos was a collection of luminous spheres and drifting gas, governed by predictable orbits and stable energies. The notion that there could be a place where time itself stopped, or where a million suns could be crushed into a grain of dust, was considered a mathematical eccentricity. But the universe does not care about our comfort. It does not operate on the basis of what we find plausible. While the textbooks spoke of frozen stars and theoretical limits, the galactic center was already hiding a secret. Sagittarius A* was not waiting for permission to exist. It was already there, silently bending the light of 1,000 stars, anchoring the Milky Way, with a gravitational grip that defied every intuitive notion of how matter should behave. The frozen star was a myth we told ourselves to avoid the abyss. The tension grew as the years passed. The math of Schwarzschild remained stubbornly consistent, even as the observers remained skeptical. Every time a physicist tried to find a loophole that would prevent the formation of a singularity, the equations pushed back. The more they studied the collapse of massive stars, the more they realized that there was no force in the known universe capable of stopping the fall. Once a star passed a certain mass threshold, the collapse was inevitable. The frozen star wasn't a safeguard. It was an optical illusion caused by the warping of time. To the observer, it looked frozen, but to the falling matter, the descent was swift, absolute, and final. We are floating now in that gap between the old certainty and the new terror. We are moving from a universe of light and stability into a universe of shadows and ruptures. The realization began to dawn that the most extreme predictions of relativity were not glitches, but blueprints. The vacuum was not empty, and the darkness was not a void. The darkness was a presence. The singularity was not a mathematical error, but the ultimate destination of all matter that loses its fight against gravity. The shift in understanding was slow, almost meditative. It happened as we stopped asking if these objects could exist and started asking where they were hiding. We began to realize that the universe is not a neat catalog of stellar remnants, but a zoo of objects that do not fit into the old map. The invisible conductor was no longer a ghost in a 1916 paper. It was becoming a physical necessity. The math was not breaking. It was finally describing the truth, and yet the proof remained elusive. You cannot see a black hole. You cannot photograph a void. You can only see the wreckage it leaves behind, the shredded remains of stars, the screaming heat of accretion disks, the distorted light of distant galaxies. We were staring at a blind spot in our own vision, trying to map a territory that actively erased itself from the record. We had the theory, but we lacked the eyes to see the monster. but as our instruments pierced the galactic veil, the theory became a terrifyingly concrete reality. Expectation, a void that remains a theoretical ghost, a darkness that can be inferred but never seen. Reality, a ring of fire captured in a digital eye, proving that the monster is not only real but possesses a face. For a century, the center of our galaxy was a smudge of infrared light and gas, a region where the math suggested a nightmare, but the telescope saw only a blur. We were waiting for a signal that the universe was actually breaking. That signal arrived in 2022. The Event Horizon Telescope collaboration did not use a single mirror, but a global array, turning the entire Earth into a virtual lens the size of our planet. This was the only way to resolve an object as small as an orange on the moon. When the data was processed, the image of Sagittarius A emerged not as a hole, but as a glowing, asymmetric donut of light. It was the first time humanity looked directly into the throat of the abyss and saw it looking back. What the image revealed was the photon ring. This is not a solid surface, but a graveyard of light. The gravity of Sagittarius A is so intense that it forces photons, particles of light that usually travel in straight lines, to bend into circles. It creates a perfect and shimmering loop where light is trapped in a permanent orbit. Circling the drain of the Singularity, we are seeing a light that has been twisted into a crown, a luminous boundary that marks the absolute limit of the known universe. The discovery showed that Sagittarius A is not a static void. It is a dynamic engine. The ring is not uniform. It is brighter on one side than the other, a result of the gas orbiting the black hole at relativistic speeds. As the plasma screams toward the event horizon, the light is beamed toward us, creating a flickering, shifting halo of gold and orange against the absolute black. It is a celestial whirlpool, a grinding machine of space-time that warps the very geometry of the vacuum into a circle. The 2022 paper published in the Astrophysical journal Letters confirmed that the shape of this shadow matches the predictions of general relativity with haunting precision. The circle is not a coincidence. It is the signature of a rotating mass so dense that it drags the fabric of space along with it, a phenomenon known as frame dragging. The black hole is not just sitting there. It is twisting the universe around itself like a walpautais on a whirlpool in a dark river. We are witnessing a place where the laws of optics cease to function. In the photon ring, a photon can orbit the black hole multiple times before finally escaping toward our telescopes or falling forever into the center. If you were standing there, you would see the light from the back of your own head, curved around the abyss and return to your eyes. You would see the entire universe compressed into a thin, bright line of light, a halo of everything that ever was and ever will be, all crushed into a single orbital plane. This ring of light is the final warning. It is the shoreline of a sea from which no one returns. Beyond that glowing circle lies the event horizon, the point where the escape velocity exceeds the speed of light. Once a particle crosses that threshold, the path to the outside world is not just blocked, it ceases to exist. The geometry of the space-time flips, and the center of the black hole becomes the only possible future. Every direction you turn leads deeper into the dark. The Event Horizon Telescope did more than give us a picture. It gave us a map of the rupture. It proved that the invisible conductor we had sensed for decades was not a mistake in the data, but a physical entity of impossible power. We are no longer guessing. We are no longer relying on the ghosts of 1916. We have the image. We have the proof that at the heart of our home there is a point of infinite density that governs the movement of 100 billion stars. The golden ring of Sagittarius A is a postcard from the edge of existence. It tells us that the universe is far more violent and strange than our intuition allows. It shows us that light itself can be imprisoned, bent into a circle by a gravity that refuses to let go. The image is a window into a region where time slows to a crawl, and space becomes a liquid swirling around a center that cannot be seen, only felt through the distortion of everything around it. We have seen the face of the monster, but seeing it is not the same as understanding it. The image is a two-dimensional slice of a four-dimensional nightmare. To truly feel the weight of that golden ring, to understand why the light bends and the stars tremble, we have to move beyond the image. We have to move closer. We have to feel the pull. To understand this distortion, we must first grasp the impossible scale of the abyss. To grasp the magnitude of Sagittarius A, we must first strip away the illusions of distance and size that our minds use to survive in a human world. We are used to thinking of the sun as the ultimate anchor, a massive sphere of plasma that dominates every inch of our local neighborhood. But in the presence of a supermassive black hole, the sun is no longer a titan. It is a speck. It is a rounding error in a calculation of cosmic mass. The scale of the abyss is not something that can be measured in miles or kilometers without the numbers becoming meaningless. Instead, we must translate this void into a language of physical sensation. If we were to shrink the entire mass of our sun down to the size of a single grain of sand, the proportions of the universe would shift in a way that defies intuition. In this miniature cosmos, the event horizon of Sagittarius A would not be a small pebble or a marble. It would expand, growing and stretching until it encompassed the entire room you are sitting in, the space where you breathe, the walls around you, the ceiling above your head. All of it would be swallowed by the shadow of the event horizon. A single grain of sand representing our star, lost within a room of absolute darkness. And yet, the paradox deepens. Despite this immense volume of shadow, the matter that created this hole has been crushed into a pinpoint so small that it defies the laws of chemistry and atomic structure. This singular point is denser than 1 billion mountains compressed into a space smaller than a single atom. It is a weight that the universe cannot support. It is a puncture in the fabric of existence. When we look at the data provided by the Event Horizon Telescope, we are seeing the boundary of this compression. We are seeing the last place where light can still fight. The region surrounding the black hole is a zoo of distorted physics, where the gravity is so intense that it creates a centrifugal whirlpool of gas and fire. This accretion disk is not a solid surface, but a rushing river of plasma, heating up to millions of degrees as it spirals inward. The friction is so violent that it emits X-rays that can be detected across the galaxy, a scream of matter being torn apart before it vanishes forever. Within this environment, the very concept of a straight line is erased. Light, which always takes the shortest path between 2 points, finds that the shortest path is now a curve. It circles the black hole in a perfect, haunting ring, creating a mirror of the universe behind it. If you were to drift toward this horizon, you would see the stars of the Milky Way bending and warping around you, stretching into long, thin arcs of light, until the entire sky was squeezed into a single, brilliant circle of fire directly above your head. But as we drift closer, a strange silence begins to take hold. The violence of the accretion disk fades into the background, replaced by the overwhelming presence of the gravity well. You would feel the tidal forces beginning to tug at your form, a gentle pull at first, then a relentless stretching. This is the physical manifestation of the curvature described by the 1916 Schwarzschild metrics, where the distance between your head and your feet is no longer the same in the eyes of the universe. We are moving toward a place where the map of space simply stops. The volume of the room, the grain of sand, the billion mountains, all these images are merely attempts to describe a rupture that the human brain was never evolved to process. We are witnesses to a density that does not just occupy space, but consumes it. There is a secret hidden within this crushing weight, a revelation about the nature of time that the abyss is only beginning to whisper. This crushing density does more than pull matter. It unravels the very fabric of duration. Here is where you come in, as a silent witness to the most profound distortion in the known universe. As we drift toward the event horizon of Sagittarius A, we are no longer merely observing a place, but entering a region where the clock of the cosmos begins to fail. This is the territory explored by Roger Penrose in his 1965 work on gravitational collapse, where he demonstrated that once a certain threshold of density is crossed, the collapse of space-time becomes inevitable, and the laws of time as we perceive them are rewritten. To understand this, we must separate the experience of the fall from the perspective of the watcher. If you were to drift toward the abyss, your own watch would continue to tick with a steady rhythmic precision. You would feel the pull of gravity, you would see the light of the galaxy warping above you, and you would cross the threshold of the event horizon without any immediate signal that you had left the reachable universe. For you, the descent is a fluid, continuous motion toward the singularity. But for an observer watching you from the safety of the outer rim, the reality is hauntingly different. Expectation suggests that you would simply vanish into the dark. Reality, however, is a frozen echo. As you approach the event horizon, the observer would see your movements slow down, not because you are physically slowing, but because the gravity of Sagittarius A is stretching the very seconds of your existence. The light reflecting off your form must fight against a curvature so extreme that it takes longer and longer to escape the pull. To the observer, you would seem to linger, your motions becoming glacial, your voice dropping into a frequency too low for any ear to hear. As you reach the final millimeter above the horizon, the observer would see you stop entirely. You would become a motionless silhouette, etched forever against the backdrop of the void. You would not vanish. You would simply freeze at the edge of time. For the watcher, you have become a permanent monument, a ghost of a moment that never ends, suspended in a state of eternal hesitation. You are there, yet you are gone, existing in a sliver of time that has been stretched to infinity. This is the paradox of the event horizon. The universe files each event in space-time itself, but at the center of our galaxy, the filing system breaks. The observer sees you frozen for 1 billion years, while you, in your own frame of reference, have already passed into the singularity and ceased to exist. Two contradictory truths occupy the same coordinates in space. The distance between the observer and the falling object is not just a gap of kilometers, but a gap of eternity. This dilation is not a trick of the light, but a fundamental property of the cosmos. If you could stand on the edge of this gravitational shadow for a few hours and then return to Earth, you would find that eons had passed. Entire civilizations would have risen and fallen. stars would have burned out and collapsed, and the very map of the Milky Way would have shifted. You would return to a future that had forgotten the era you left behind, all because you lingered in the presence of a mass that bends time into a circle. We are forced to realize that time is not a universal constant, but a flexible fabric that can be pinched, stretched, and eventually torn. In the presence of Sagittarius A, the sequence of cause and effect begins to blur. The future and the past are no longer distant shores, but points on a curve that leads inward. The singularity is not just a point of infinite density in space, but a point where the timeline of the universe simply terminates. As we float in this meditative silence, we feel the weight of this deep time. The galaxy is not a static collection of stars, but a living, breathing mechanism where time flows like a river, fast in the voids, and slowing to a standstill at the heart of the dark. We are drifting through a graveyard of moments where everything that has ever fallen into the abyss is still, in some sense, visible to the rest of the universe, frozen in the final microsecond of its existence. The scale of this effect is impossible to process. If the sun were a grain of sand, the time dilation at the edge of the supermassive black hole would be like a single heartbeat, lasting for the entire age of the galaxy. It is a stillness so absolute that it becomes a form of immortality, though it is an immortality of shadow and silence. We are suspended here between the world of the living and the world of the frozen. The event horizon is the ultimate border, a line that divides the universe into those who move and those who remain. It is the place where the laws of physics surrender to the sheer weight of existence, and where the concept of now loses all meaning. We drift weightless and calm, acknowledging that we are small, fragile flickers of light in a cosmos that can freeze time itself. And yet, this stillness is a mask. Beneath the frozen surface of the horizon, the energy is building, and the void is not as empty as it seems. The silence of the void is occasionally broken by a whisper that shakes the entire field of physics. But as the measurements emerged, the mystery of the center shifted from a theoretical shadow to a mathematical certainty. No one predicts the behavior of a void, but the stars surrounding it tell a story of absolute submission. For years, we looked into the heart of the Milky Way and saw nothing but a crowded, chaotic swarm of ancient suns, a place where the light of the galactic core should have been blinding. Yet there was a gap, a hole in the light that defied every known law of stellar distribution. The evidence came not from seeing the monster, but from watching the dance of its captives. In a series of landmark observations that spanned decades, two teams led by Andrea Ghez at UCLA and Reinhard Genzel at the Max Planck Institute began to track a specific group of stars known as the S stars. These are not ordinary suns. They are high-velocity wanderers trapped in tight elliptical orbits around a point in space that remained stubbornly dark. Expectation, a cluster of dead stars or a dense cloud of dark gas. Reality, a compact object of such staggering mass that it could only be a supermassive black hole. In the 2008 paper published in the Astrophysical journal, Ghez and her team provided the definitive proof. They tracked the star S2, a sun-like star that plunges toward the center of our galaxy with terrifying precision. They observed S2 reaching speeds of 110 kilometers per second as it swung around the invisible center. To maintain such an orbit at that velocity, the laws of Kepler and Newton dictate that the central object must possess a mass of approximately 4 million suns. Think of the scale of that concentration. 4 million stars, each with the mass of our own sun, compressed into a region of space so small it would fit comfortably within the orbit of Mercury. If you were to distribute that mass into a cloud of gas or a cluster of smaller stars, the volume would be immense and the light would be unmistakable. But the orbits of the S-stars are too tight. The curve of their path is too sharp. There is no room for a cluster. There is only room for a singularity. The 2010 findings by Genzel further solidified this reality, showing that the gravitational pull at the center was not a vague influence, but a surgical force. The stars were not drifting, they were being whipped around a gravitational anchor that exerted its will with absolute authority. This was the first time humanity had a direct, empirical measurement of a supermassive black hole. We were no longer guessing based on the behavior of distant galaxies. We were looking at the heart of our own home. We can visualize this by imagining a cosmic whirlpool. If you look at the water from a great distance, you see a smooth, rotating disk, but as you move closer, you see individual droplets of water being accelerated, spiraling faster and faster as they approach the center. The S-stars are those droplets. They are the markers of an invisible geography. By measuring the exact time it takes for S2 to complete one orbit, roughly 16 years, the researchers could calculate the mass of the invisible conductor with a precision that left no room for doubt. This revelation changed our understanding of galactic architecture. We realized that the Milky Way is not just a collection of stars held together by a general cloud of dark matter, but a structured system anchored by a singular crushing point of density. The black hole is the silent architect. It does not just consume, it defines the boundaries of everything around it. When we consider the velocity of 110 kilometers per second, we are seeing the physical manifestation of space-time being bent into a steep well. At that speed, the star is fighting a losing battle against gravity, held in a delicate balance between the desire to fly away into the void and the inevitable pull of the abyss. It is a high-stakes orbital ballet, performed in a region of space where the vacuum is thick with X-rays and the remnants of shredded planets. This process of elimination, proving that nothing else could possibly be there, is the most haunting part of the discovery. The scientists did not find a black hole by seeing it. They found it by proving that every other possibility was impossible. They mapped the void by measuring the scream of the stars as they were pulled toward the edge. As we drift through this realization, we feel the fragility of our own position. We are located 26,000 light-years away, safely tucked into the suburbs of the galaxy, where the influence of Sagittarius A is a distant, gentle nudge. But the knowledge that this monster exists, that it is actively governing the motion of millions of stars, changes the way we perceive the night sky. The stars are not floating in a vacuum. They are tethered to a dark heart. The precision of the Gez and Genzel measurements acts as a bridge between the abstract math of 1916 and the physical reality of the 21st century. It confirms that the universe does not shy away from extremes. It allows for the existence of points where mass becomes infinite and volume becomes zero. It allows for a place where the map of physics simply stops. We spend our lives believing in the permanence of the ground beneath us, but in the center of the galaxy, the ground is a lie. There is only the curve. There is only the acceleration. There is only the inevitable descent toward a point that cannot be seen, but can be felt in every orbital arc of every star in the core. We are witnesses to a gravitational shadow that governs the fate of 100 billion stars. It is a paradox of power. The most influential object in our galaxy is the one that refuses to show itself. It communicates only through the movement of others, a ghost conductor leading a symphony of fire and gas. As we drift further from this gravitational shadow, the galaxy begins to feel like a fragile clock. And yet, as we drift further from the center, we encounter a second, more subtle paradox. We have spoken of the monster that consumes, but there is a quieter reality to consider. The black hole as a gardener, expectation, a void that only destroys, a cosmic vacuum cleaner stripping the galaxy bare, reality, a gravitational anchor that may actually be the reason galaxies exist at all. In a 2016 study published in Nature, researchers proposed a concept known as the seed hypothesis. The theory suggests that supermassive black holes did not just appear after stars formed, but that they were the original blueprints. They were the seeds around which the first great clouds of hydrogen and helium coalesced. Without the immense gravitational pull of a central singularity, the chaotic gases of the early universe might never have collapsed into the orderly spirals we see today. The monster at the center is not an intruder in the Milky Way, it is the architect. Picture this on a scale the mind cannot hold. If our entire solar system, with every planet and asteroid, were compressed into the size of a single grain of sand, Sagittarius A would still be a mountain of invisible mass looming over us, stretching for miles in every direction. It is a weight so profound that it does not just pull on matter, but on the very fabric of the vacuum. The 2022 results from the Event Horizon Telescope collaboration confirm that this shadow is not a hole in the traditional sense, but a sphere of absolute darkness surrounded by a ring of fire. This ring is composed of gas traveling at nearly the speed of light, heated to millions of degrees. But as we watch this fire from a distance, it begins to feel slow. To an outside observer, time near the event horizon begins to stretch, becoming a thick, syrupy fluid. If you were to watch a clock falling toward the center, you would see the seconds tick slower and slower. The hand would pause, hovering for 1,000 years, then 10,000, then 1,000,000. To the clock, the fall is instant. To you, the clock becomes a frozen monument to a moment that never ends. This is the reality of general relativity, as described by Carl Schwarzschild in 1916. The gravity is so intense that it literally bends the timeline of the universe into a loop. Here is where you come in, floating in the silence. You are witnessing the ultimate patience of the cosmos. The black hole does not rush, it does not hunt. It simply exists as a point of infinite stillness in a universe of constant motion. It is the only place in existence where the noise of the Big Bang finally goes quiet, where the vibration of atoms ceases, and where the laws of causality are rewritten into a language we have not yet learned to read. We are orbiting a ghost that holds us in a grip of 4 million solar masses, yet we feel nothing but the gentle rotation of our own night sky. The scale is so vast that the terror of the void becomes a form of comfort. We are small enough to be ignored by the monster, safe in the outer suburbs of the spiral, drifting in the velvet dark while the center continues its slow, invisible dance. And yet, the silence of Sagittarius A star is not a state of permanent peace, but a precarious balance of hunger and exhaustion. For decades, the expectation was that supermassive black holes were dormant giants, sleeping in the centers of old galaxies, waiting for a stray star to wander too close. Reality, as revealed by the 2019 research led by the Gravity Collaboration and published in the Physical Review D, shows a much more volatile environment. The center of our galaxy is not a graveyard, but a flickering engine. Imagine the space surrounding the event horizon as a crowded terminal of cosmic debris. There are clouds of gas, remnants of dead stars, and streams of plasma all spiraling inward. But they do not fall in a straight line. They orbit in a chaotic, shimmering disk, colliding at speeds that defy intuition. When this matter finally crosses the threshold, it does not simply vanish. It screams. As the atoms are crushed by the extreme gravity, they release bursts of X-rays and radio waves that can be detected from 26,000 light-years away. The scale of this consumption is nearly impossible to visualize. If the sun were a grain of sand, the gravitational influence of Sagittarius A star would be a whirlpool encompassing an entire city, pulling everything toward a single microscopic point of no return. This is the paradox of the singularity. According to the 1965 papers by Roger Penrose on gravitational collapse, the center of a black hole is not a surface, but a point where the curvature of space-time becomes infinite. The math simply breaks. The map of the universe ends here, leaving us with a void that is not empty, but too full for the laws of physics to contain. But there is a deeper mystery hidden in the shadows of the accretion disk. In the 2021, a study on accretion disk dynamics published in Nature Astronomy suggested that these monsters may not just be destroyers, but architects. There is a theoretical process where the energy of a rotating black hole can be tapped to launch colossal jets of plasma across thousands of light years. These jets act as cosmic thermostats, heating the surrounding gas and preventing the galaxy from forming too many stars too quickly. Without this invisible hand, the Milky Way would have burned through its fuel billions of years ago, leaving us in a cold, dead void. We owe our existence to the monster at the center. The very force that could shred a solar system into ribbons is the same force that regulates the birth of every star in our neighborhood. We are living in the shadow of a predator that, by its very nature, keeps the garden of the galaxy alive. Picture the flow of time as a river. In the suburbs of the galaxy where we drift, the river flows steady and slow. But as you approach the center, the current accelerates into a violent waterfall. Aufreißen. The closer you get to the singularity, the more the river bends, twisting back on itself until the future and the past become indistinguishable. Here, the universe is filing every event in spacetime itself, etching the history of the galaxy into the geometry of the void. We are not just orbiting a mass of 4 million suns, we are orbiting the memory of everything the galaxy has ever consumed. We begin to drift away now, leaving the violent acceleration of the galactic center behind. We move in a slow, steady retreat, sliding backward through the light years, feeling the crushing grip of the singularity loosen its hold on our consciousness. The chaotic dance of the S-stars, those frantic needles of light measured by Gez and Genzel, fade into a distant, shimmering haze. The scream of gas being torn apart at the event horizon becomes a whisper, then a hum, and finally a silence so absolute it feels like a physical weight. As we glide further into the void, the perspective shifts. We are no longer observers of the abyss, but witnesses to the architecture it created. We see the galactic bulge begin to curve, revealing the vast, sweeping arms of the Milky Way. From this distance, the galaxy is not a collection of stars, but a single luminous organism, It is a spiral of silver and gold, a celestial whirlpool spanning 100,000 light years across, spinning with a slow, majestic patience. And at the very center of this spinning disk, there is a single silent point of infinite density. This is the anchor. Every star we have ever known, every planet that has ever frozen or burned, every atom in our own breathing bodies is tethered to that one invisible speck. The entire Milky Way is essentially a giant glowing halo revolving around a shadow. The scale is so immense that the distance between us and Sagittarius A feels less like a physical gap and more like a gap in time itself. We are floating in the quiet suburbs of a cosmic empire governed by a king that does not speak, does not see, and does not feel, yet dictates the movement of every single celestial body in the vicinity. The image is one of profound stability born from total destruction. The very thing that consumes everything it touches is the same thing that holds the galaxy together. Without that central void, the stars would drift aimlessly into the intergalactic waste, lost in the darkness between galaxies. We owe our existence to the monster at the center. We are the children of a gravitational shadow. As we drift even further, the light of the Milky Way begins to flatten. The spiral becomes a thin, glowing coin of light suspended in a velvet ocean of nothingness. We are now so far away that the entire history of our galaxy is compressed into a single shimmering object. We can see the dust lanes, the dark veins of cold gas where new stars are being born, and the bright, crowded clusters of the core where the laws of physics are pushed to their breaking point. The silence here is different. It is not the silence of the void, but the silence of completion. We have seen the beginning of the curve and the end of the map. We have traveled from the safe shores of Earth to the edge of a rupture where space and time cease to exist. In this vast, cold distance, the anxieties of a single lifetime vanish. The worries of a day, the stresses of a year, the noise of a civilization, all of it is swallowed by the scale of the spiral. We are small, yes, but we are part of the pattern. We are a conscious piece of the universe looking back at its own dark heart. The light of the galaxy begins to dim as we merge with the background radiation of the cosmos. The silver spiral fades into a soft gray glow, and the glow fades into the deep, comforting black of the deep field. There is no more acceleration, there is no more pull, there is only the drift. We float now in the space between things, where the temperature is nearly absolute zero, and the distance between stars is measured in centuries of travel. The mind begins to let go, mirroring the way matter lets go as it crosses the event horizon, but unlike the star that falls into the hole, we are not falling, we are expanding. We are becoming as wide as the galaxy itself, feeling the slow rotation of the spiral and the rhythm of our own breathing. The universe is a filing system of events, and tonight we have filed away the memory of the center. We have left the monster to its solitude, presiding over its kingdom of ghosts and fire. As the last glimmer of the Milky Way vanishes from view, we are left with a final lingering thought. If the center of our galaxy is a point of infinite density where the map of physics ends, what lies on the other side of that rupture? Is it a mirror of our own world or a gateway to a universe where time flows backward? If we could stand on the edge of the event horizon for 1 second, what would we hope to see on the other side? The darkness is no longer empty. It is full of the potential for everything that has ever been or will ever be. It is a soft, heavy blanket of cosmic dust and dark matter, wrapping around us, pulling us deeper into the quiet. The stars are distant lanterns, blinking out one by one, leaving us in the perfect velvet peace of the deep cosmos. The drift is complete. The journey is over. The void is not a place of fear, but a place of ultimate rest. Sleep well tonight, and tomorrow we will continue to explore the deepest mysteries of the cosmos,